Hey everyone, on set here. I hope you guys are doing well. I just wanted to come in with a message and talking about true self auditing because what it feels like right now is an energetic audit, just a systematic energetic audit right now, right? And it's extremely important for us to go through different parts of ourselves without judgment and so that we're actually auditing ourselves more so than allowing ourselves to get sucked up and caught up in a more systematic audit that actually is judging. So if you want to exempt yourself from that systematic judgment energetically, then you want to make sure that you are now posing yourself or putting yourself in a position in that authority to make sure that you're walking through different parts of yourself and doing the work on your own. It's extremely important during these times. In my private group, the Liberation Code Academy, some of you are actually new members. Welcome. Thank you guys for joining because I've actually opened up enrollment again before the new enrollment in June because we've been doing some very, very intense work in the academy. We're actually doing a 4-day sacral series right now. Currently, we're on our day 3, and the work is deep. It's deep, and it's sacral series because it's not just focused on the womb for women, but it's also focused on the sacral for men, because I do have men and women in the group, and we've been doing it together. And man, okay, and especially with what we're going to get into talking about today, that sacral area is that area that carries all of the emotion, all of the programming that makes you human in essence, or in connection to when it comes to actually connecting with your emotions. And it is the emotion that drives the thoughts. It is the emotion that drives your actions. It is your emotions that can drive your levels of expression if you are not self-aware enough to really go into those different levels of your emotions and make some adjustments on purpose, because you don't want to allow your emotions to just kind of run the field without you actually bringing your levels of self-awareness in that, like actually joining the party, because it is your party. It's your emotional party. But when you don't show up to your own emotional party, trust and believe there's going to be some damage to the home. So that's been the work that we've been doing. We've been working through like relationships, sexual partners, clearing matriarchal lines and patriarchal lines, generational healing. So again, if you're interested in doing this kind of work, it's not too late. You can come and join us. We have the replay set up. We have everything set up so that you can go at your own pace. But the community within itself, they've been really great at sharing very intimate details about their growth. So it's a really safe space for sharing if that's something that you're looking for community-wise. So I just wanted to put that out there because we're on that wave right now. But it brings me to the conversation that I wanted to bring here on YouTube. Because, as I go through personal things, I've always been transparent about like my levels of new revelations or older revelations that are kind of recycling back. And what I wanted to talk about today was something that's been recycling back to me to pay attention to. And I wanted to bring to you the same message. It's more so of a reassurance for me because I would say more so maybe about a couple of years ago, what I noticed when I was doing a lot of my self-healing and self-work and so on back then is I was dealing with one main demon specifically. A demon. Ooh, this demon's name is doubt. Okay, I've been like in the field just wrestling with this demon called doubt. And what I recognized in that when I was doing like really into clearing a lot of my spaces, especially down in the lower third or the lower half of self, going down there because that's where doubt more so lives and sits while it sends signals up here. So dealing with doubt, what I recognize is I had to define what doubt actually meant to me. And why every time every time I would know something, or every time I would be confirmed in something, that I would recognize my patterns in wanting to be reconfirmed in something that I already knew. And that was creating a loop of becoming addicted to confirmation. And I'm going to talk about how doubt comes into play with that. So I had to define doubt. And when I defined doubt for me, what I came up with was doubt is when you don't believe what you already know. And it may sound very, very contradictory, because that is the energy of doubt. It's extremely contradictory, and it keeps you in a very stagnant space, very unmoving space energetically when you are doubting. So I'll say that again. The definition from my perspective when I was doing this work a couple of years ago was it's not believing what you already know. And it doesn't make sense to not believe what you already know, does it? So I had to deal with these conflicting energies because I had to go to the core, go to the space of where this demon lived inside of me, because it would, because I've always been like very in tune, very tapped in, very intuitive. But what would automatically come in and sabotage a lot of the potency of my own power and my own levels of consciousness would be this thing called doubt. And I just saw that as like the what do they call that? The boss, the big boss at the end of the game when you have to face the big boss. For me, my Bowser was doubt. And I had to clear that up. And I it's coming up again today, because as we're in our private community doing this work, there are seeds of doubt that are popping up, and just a lot of testimonies, and just a lot of what people are sharing, and even a lot of what I'm currently just walking through within myself, because we always are constantly maintaining all levels of self. Like, it's a constant maintenance. So it's not like you do this work one time and then you're good. It's a constant level of self-awareness that is, you have to keep it up. Same thing, same way you have to take a shower every single day. You don't just take a shower one time and say, I'm clean. You have to continuously wash and cleanse yourself. So it's the same thing with energetic work. So with the doubt demon, I had to go in and I had to find out where this demon was living inside of me. And what I realized for me personally when I went in was that this demon was actually at the root chakra. It's at my root chakra. It was the foundation of my I am, which was really contradictory of the higher aspect of me. Because the higher aspect of me is completely fearless, is completely in knowing, is completely wise, is completely in tuned, is completely patient, so patient, so loving, so compassionate, like just all of that stuff. And then there's just this doubt that is at the bottom, or the foundation that is supposedly supporting higher self. And these two energies have been fighting, in some of my journey. They've been fighting. And, so sometimes what you do is you have to face this big boss. You have to come in and say, hey, let me talk to you for a second. Have a seat. Because one thing that I even mentioned in one of my workshops that I did today in the group is, because someone brought up something about entities and invading your space, and what do you do if you don't really want to deal with these energies? And the thing is, when you have certain energies that are residing inside of you, it is your responsibility to face these energies head on. You don't want to be in denial about these energies. I'll tell you why. Because your body, your energetic field, your cells, your mind, body, soul is your temple. So your temple is your home. Now, the analogy that I shared in today's discussion was someone, let's just say there's a guest who came to your home, and this guest was to stay for 2 days, right? 2 days. And then 5 days pass, and the guest is still there. And then 2 months pass, then 6 months pass, and then a whole year passes, and then 2 years pass, and you're just kind of like, wait a second. Okay, I could have sworn that this house guest that I invited over to stay for 2 days ended up staying for 2 years. I could have sworn that this was not the agreement. So why is that house guest still there in your home now, living in your temple? At first, it was an invite for a temporary stay, but now this guest is living in your temple. So it's up to you to be mature about it and just say, hey, I think we need to sit down and have a conversation here. You were supposed to be a guest for 2 days, but you're here and it's been 2 years already. So I think we need to start working on moving it along here, because I need to take my house back. I need to take my home back, and I need to be clear about that. So when you're speaking to this entity that has taken over, you have to be in your authority. You have to come in as the owner, as the rightful owner of your temple, right? You have to come in and say, it's time to go. Maybe I'll give you 2 weeks notice. 2 weeks notice to go find somewhere else. But I'm telling you, after 2 weeks, you gotta go. And that's just it. And that's how you face these inner demons, inner entities, all of these energies. Doubt was just one. Now we have many that are residing within us that are coming in and literally coming in to sabotage what you are working towards. And that is something that you have to face during these times now, because more than ever, these energies are now animating and they're becoming stronger because of the cosmic energies that are flowing in, and because we're in a time where people are reflecting and seeing themselves for who they are currently. If you're watching Westworld, then you know what I'm saying about the whole, everyone's profiles have been sent to them, and some of them are reading their profiles or seeing themselves in the mirror, and they're not liking what they're reading, or they're not liking what they're seeing. And based on what they see is it that determines, because they're not necessarily self-aware enough to know how to transmute and change and redirect, they're just like committing suicide or going out there and causing chaos in the world because they don't want to deal with their truths. So these truths can be truth demons, or you can switch the angle and turn them into your angels or turn them into your allies. Because a lot of what the underlining energy is with some of these demons on the inside is our strengths that are just misplaced. Okay, so doubt, let's use doubt, since I've brought doubt up as something that I was working on heavily a couple of years ago. But let's just say that let's just say doubt within itself, there's more so an underlining tone of being cautious, right? There's cautious. There's that energy of cautiousness or caution within itself that comes with that. Now we need that for certain situations. Sometimes we need to be cautious about certain things. We don't need to be fearful. So fear that houses doubt would be the sabotager. But caution can completely transmute any kind of doubt, and you can have a healthy level of caution, not allowing it to turn into doubt. So these are just ways how to like look at these energies and really work with them and redirect on whether this is like your ally or your enemy. So we don't need to make decisions here. We just need to know how to work with certain parts of ourselves that are very much apparent just based on our paths and our journeys in general. Also, another thing I wanted to put out there is that there's just there's this sense of or understanding the ripple effect that happens when you are putting stuff out there, right? So let's talk about the sabotaging factor of, let's say, doubt. Because we are very potent in what we pour our intentions in. It's kind of like painting a beautiful painting and looking at it and saying, oh, like that's off, or this is off, or that's not, the line is too swervy, it's supposed to be straight, and then you're kind of like, you know, painting over that, and you're starting all over again. You're just like, okay, I'm gonna paint over, and then you start painting again, and then you're looking at the painting and you're like, I'm gonna start all over again, so let's cover it up. All right, so this time I'm gonna get it perfect because I have this vision in my head of what this is supposed to look like. Although I am I've put myself on some kind of deadline, right? So I'm still trying to create this picture because there's some kind of art exhibit that's expecting a painting, right? And I need to get this done. So I'm redoing, I'm painting, I'm redoing. Although there's lesson in that, and although that may be a necessary path, at some point, higher self comes in and steps in and says, listen, okay, the energy that's coming from this right now is coming from a form of doubt in your work. You are good at what it is. You are great at what you do, which is why this exhibit is expecting something from you. And you are being overly critical about your genius in your work to the point where you are causing like just this stagnation within itself. You're causing this stagnant energy to just take over, and you end up wasting precious time with your work instead of just saying, I trust, I know, so therefore I express. And when you do that, there's just this flow that comes in where you're just like, I'm the artist. And even if the goddamn line is squiggly when it was supposed to be straight, it still fits. And they're going to like it because it's coming from me. So there's this certain level of confidence that a person has to have with whatever they're putting out there, with whatever work, whatever message, whatever ways of communication, whatever it is that you are doing. Doubt and like confidence don't mix in the same pot. And therefore the result of that is going to be, it's going to be confusing to the universe, because if you're trying to manifest something and you know what it is, but then you throw in or sprinkle in those seeds of doubt, you bring it back. So when you're like moving forward, then bringing it back, you're moving forward. It feels like motion just because you're moving forward and going back, but then you realize you haven't gone anywhere. And that's what the demon of doubt does. And eventually, you know, the web of time just completely takes over and kind of like overrides whatever it is. So during these times of like just changing paths and really getting to come into yourself, into your levels of growth during such a cosmically aligned time, it's really important to really restore your confidence during these times where most people are doubting themselves, most people are overly criticizing themselves, most people are in fear right now, most people are living in the spirit of lack right now. So this is a time to go in and do the opposite and really start flowing with your own inner energies and clearing away those seeds of doubt or whatever other kind of undertones that are holding you back from moving forward. So this is very important. So this is something that I wanted to share today. It was on my heart to share, especially after the conversation we had in our sacral series. The sacral is deep, man, in our sacral series in the TLC Academy. Also, what I do want to, I do have available for those of you who are not necessarily interested in becoming members per se, if you're not looking for community, you're just kind of looking to go directly into just a very specific thing, I do have a workshop available, and it's a 7-day full integration and activation 7-day workshop. And it's walking through every single chakra, but creating that inner community story within your own chakra system, because it's so important to get to know yourself from the bottom to the top. And what most people do sometimes when they come into their own spiritual development, which is natural because you have a goal and a vision when you're doing this work sometime, is that you want to go straight to third eye stuff. You want to go straight to cosmic energies of light. You want to go straight into some of that experience. But if you are not, if you have, the foundation is weak down here, what's happening is what you're doing is you're bringing toxic energies into the bridge of the heart, and you're allowing this toxic water to come in and flood through these upper chakras. So what happens is that it just creates this distortion. Although you may be completely tuned in and tapped in and really intuitive and really good at tapping into these energies spiritually, it may still cause levels of anxiety, of depression, of psychosis, and things like that, because you haven't cleared the swampy waters down here in your root. Are your roots suffocating? Are they dry? Do you need to nourish and water your roots? Okay, there's also a chakra that is beneath the root chakra that we talk about in the workshop, which is actually 9 chakras altogether that we are focusing on. But there's a cosmic black cosmic chakra. It's like a cosmic womb that gives birth to the roots itself. And that's like an endless and boundless dark matter kind of like potential that we all hold. And many people don't even get that far into themselves because they're afraid of the dark. And that's where it's pretty dark. That's that Ophiuchus energy. That's that serpent-like energy that's like just powerful, all up in there, down there in the dark. And what happens in the dark is you have to feel your way around. And a lot of people, they don't want to feel, they don't want to feel themselves through the dark. They want to see everything, and they don't necessarily want to navigate through that inner darkness. So stop being afraid of the dark, because it's your darkness and it's your truth, or many truths, that reside in that darkness. So that's where we start for the chakra workshop that I have, and we work our way up. And then we go into the roots, and we establish the foundation. But before establishing and building, you have to observe your roots. You have to kind of like look at the conditioning first. And when you realize what that condition is, now you can start rebuilding foundation. You can start re-nourishing certain roots for your tree. And then we're going into sacral and the emotions and how we see ourselves in relation to others, in relationships. That's what we were talking about today. So how, the root is about I am on a human level. Like, who am I in this human? And the sacral is, who am I in this human with others? So that's a whole other level of observation and work and healing and transmutation that comes in. And then we're making our way up to the solar plexus. And that solar plexus is your will to do, your will to move forward, your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself, how you're going to define yourself through the ego. And the thing is, if you have weak roots and you have toxic waters in your sacral area, what happens is it slows down the inner sun, and it becomes a dim light instead. Or sometimes it's overused and overexposed, so it's a little too much. So this is how we explore ourselves on the inside. And once you've gotten that, you realize that they call it self-esteem is because we have the sacral, which is with the element of water, and we have the solar, which is the element of fire, working together. And fire and water working together creates steam. So there's your esteem right there. So it's based on sacral and solar kind of working together as you have healthy foundation. And this is what's going to bring you into your heart space with a whole different perspective now that you're clearing all of this. So the heart is the bridge. The heart is a neutral space. It's a neutral space. It's a space of acceptance, and it's a space of true, abundant, unlimited, unconditional love. And a lot of people skip over this area. They'll use it as a bridge just to get somewhere else, but they won't sit here for a little while. They won't sit in the middle of themselves to charge up or to accept. or to neutralize, transmute, get to feel what true love of self feels like, because you power up your true self-love in this space. It is very confirming, and you have to accept yourself before you even think about being accepted to any other whatever external that is, you know? And then you make your way up, and now you're crossing over the bridge to the upper world, which is the cities or the spaces of light. Now you're coming into your light. Okay, down here is pretty dark. Even when the solar plexus, that's a sun within itself, but it's kind of like it's a second sun. You know, it's kind of like that black sun on the inside, because there's another sun that is above you as well, which would some people would call the star chakra. So there's the star, and then there's that solar plexus. So then you'll move up through the bridge of the heart, and you'll come to the throat. How are you expressing yourself? Now, these chakras up here are pretty much expressing and translating what's going on down there. So what's on the other side of the bridge of the heart? It's the solar plexus. So now you have, how am I expressing my esteem through the way that I communicate? How am I observing myself that way? Then we're continuing to walk up, third eye. What is my imagination? Is my world delusional? Is it distorted? Is it clear? Is there clarity here? Can I truly be precise in my vision in the space? And then we're getting to the crown. And once you get to that crown, that's not where it ends. That's actually where it begins for you, and truly connecting to your high self. And when you're at that gate of the crown, you need the key. Because if you don't have the key to get through your crown, you're going to be knocked back down into your lower chakras, into the point where you're going to be knocked down to the place that you need to go clear before and come back with the key. That's just how it works. So there's kind of like this, there's like I call this entity a dragon that kind of sits there, and it's just like, all you need is the key. You know, and if you don't have the key, if you haven't cleared certain things down there, then we can't let you pass up here, because you can't handle these energies up here. So through love, I'm going to kind of give you a push. And what you're going to do is you're not going to fall and break, as my sister Mayette said in one of our workshops. Actually, I'm going to give her the credit for that, because it was profound yet simple. You're not going to fall and break. You're going to fall into place. So let's not be afraid of falling. So you get to the crown and you're like, I feel great, but there are certain aspects of self that I didn't really pay attention to across the bridge in the lower lands of self. So because of that, I don't have the keys, and therefore I'm going to fall back into place and set myself on the path again. And that's the human experience, guys. It's really that simple. But it's simple if you make it simple. But there's a lot of journey that happens on the inside, which is why I can sit here and guide certain things and offer these workshops and conversations, but my inner story is not going to be the same as your inner story. So the path of the walk is what makes it unique, and that's what gives you the keys to your own crown, to your own higher gates, to your lower gates. Because even that lower cosmic womb chakra, you need keys for that too, to pull power from it. It gives birth to you. It's very nurturing and very like protective as well. But you can't pull from that account of yourself if you don't have the keys. And most people don't want the keys because they fear that space anyway. Those are where like the beings with the fangs are, you know, I don't want to go down there. So it's just like, but once you go in there, you sense this other home, you know, because most people think home is only in this direction, but there's a home in the underbelly as well that does need to be acknowledged, because that is the very genesis of self. Before you can get to the light, you have to really embrace that darkness and feel your way through yourself, so that you can really use your light in a way that will truly contribute not only to yourself, but to others and to the world. So very, very direct message here. When I say higher self is just not playing, she's not playing no games. She is on it, and we are doing the work. I'm not playing with my my family, right? We're just out here and we're doing it, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And to have that support is amazing. So I hope this message resonated on some levels. And yeah, if you're interested in joining the TLC Academy and becoming a member, you'll have access to any kind of workshop that is put out there, access to all of our deeper discussions, and access to the community. And if you want to just join in or just get the workshop and get yourself started on this whole 7-day process of walking through, what you can do is use that guide anytime you want. So it's not just a one-time walkthrough. It's something that you do habitually. Once you get the guidance, you really get it. And then you're just kind of using it as a guide to just constantly keep that maintenance going until you get to the point to where it becomes lifestyle for you. It is who you are. It is what you embody. So that workshop is it's very, very powerful. So that link will also be in the description box. If you are interested in that, I highly recommend it. So I wanted to make sure I had something to offer you guys from with some of the things that I'm doing behind the scenes and still offer a message here. So enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and I will see you soon.